In a quiet town, mysterious howls filled the night, sparking fear and wild tales. But a woman was about to unveil an uncomfortable truth, and what she saw made her gasp in shock. Every night in this small town, a strange howling sound broke the stillness of the night, sending chills down everyone's spine. People kept wondering what was causing the noise and where it was coming from, but no one was brave enough to investigate. Well, almost no one. Her name was Kate. Kate had recently moved to the quaint yet mysterious town and had quickly become aware of the haunting howls that echoed through the night. Curious, she asked her neighbors about it. At first, they were hesitant to speak, but eventually they opened up and shared a startling fact. The howling had been happening every night for the past 3 years. Most people believed it came from a dangerous, unknown creature. They warned Kate firmly to stay away from it. That night, as Kate lay in bed trying to sleep, the howling returned. Despite her best efforts to ignore it, the sound only grew louder and more desperate. Something about it tugged at her heart. She couldn't just lie there and do nothing. She had to find out what was behind that sound. With a mix of fear and determination, Kate grabbed her flashlight and stepped outside. She walked carefully, following the noise, which grew stronger and more intense with every step. Her heart pounded as she reached a tall fence. Taking a deep breath, she peeked over it and shone her flashlight into the darkness. The sight before her made her gasp in shock. There, in the dim beam of light, stood a creature so frightening that her first instinct was to run. Its fur was matted and tangled into thick clumps. A foul stench filled the air around it. Its long, sharp claws scraped the ground, and its eyes glowed fiercely in the dark. Kate stood frozen, unable to tell what kind of animal it was. Then, just as she turned to flee, the creature howled again, a deep, mournful sound that struck a chord in her heart. It didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a cry for help. Summoning her courage, she raised the flashlight again and looked closer. As the creature's features became clearer, she realized what it was. A dog. A husky. Its wild fur, overgrown claws, and horrible smell were all signs of terrible neglect. Kate's fear melted into sympathy. Her heart ached. Overwhelmed with emotion, she fumbled in her pockets, looking for something to offer. Her fingers found a pack of cookies. With a gentle toss, she sent them flying over the fence, an offering of kindness. The cookies landed just out of the dog's reach. As it struggled to reach them, Kate noticed something heartbreaking. The husky was chained. A heavy 3-meter-long iron chain restricted its every move. Kate's heart sank. Had this dog really been chained here for 3 years? She looked around and realized the dog was stuck in an abandoned construction site. Determined, she knew she had to find out who was responsible. That night, as she lay in bed, the husky's howls echoed in her mind. They weren't just lonely sounds, they were desperate cries for help, and she refused to ignore them any longer. The next morning, Kate marched straight to the site, asking around to find out who was in charge. Eventually, she was pointed toward Mr. James. When she brought up the howling husky, he paused for a moment before answering. Mr. James explained that the dog, named Billy, had shown up about 3 years ago. He was abandoned, and the workers took pity on him. They decided to keep him around as a sort of guard dog, but the truth was much sadder. Billy wasn't guarding anything. He was simply trapped. As Kate listened, her heart filled with empathy. Calmly but firmly, she asked Mr. James to let her take Billy home, to give him a life filled with care and compassion. Mr. James seemed hesitant. He warned her that Billy had been chained for years and might act aggressive. He wasn't sure the dog could adjust or trust anyone again. But Kate wasn't discouraged. She believed dogs were naturally kind and that, even after all this time, Billy could learn to trust again. When she finally saw Billy in the daylight, her heart broke all over again. His matted fur and overgrown claws clearly showed how neglected he'd been. As she walked closer, Billy barked loudly, aggressively. It was clear he was trying to protect himself from more hurt. But Kate looked into his eyes and saw something else. A quiet, aching hope, a longing for love and connection. She knew the challenge ahead was daunting. How could she gain the trust of a dog who had only known neglect for so long? She couldn't take him with her right away. First, he needed to get used to her presence. So Kate began visiting Billy every day, speaking softly and bringing treats in her hand. Earning his trust wasn't easy. At first, he growled and backed away, clearly seeing her as a threat. But her persistence never wavered. Little by little, her steady kindness started to break through his wall of fear. The moment Billy finally allowed Kate to touch him felt like a major victory. Her fingers moved carefully through his thick, matted fur, clear evidence of how long he had been neglected. For Billy, the feeling of a gentle touch must have seemed like either a long-lost memory or a dream he barely dared to hope for. Kate's heart filled with pride. She had reached a vital milestone in her mission. But before she could take him home, she needed to make sure he was healthy. So she arranged for Billy to visit the local veterinary hospital, where he would receive vaccinations and a full medical checkup. Years of cold nights, poor nutrition, and being confined to a mere 3 meters of chain had likely taken a serious toll on his body. Kate knew that caring for Billy's health was just as important as setting him free. Then the long-awaited day of liberation arrived. Kate felt a surge of excitement and a flutter of nerves. She approached Billy with his favorite treats and gently scratched behind his ears, reinforcing the bond they'd built. Taking a deep breath, she hoped she was doing the right thing. With steady hands, she unhooked the chain that had held Billy prisoner for so long. Then she stepped back and watched, holding her breath. Billy's first steps beyond the limits of his confinement were slow, uncertain, as if he couldn't quite believe it was real. But then, as the truth sank in, his steps grew stronger. He began to trot, then to run. His tail wagged wildly as he leapt and bounded, each jump higher than the last, as if trying to catch the wind itself. Kate stood watching, her heart full, a mix of happiness for Billy's freedom and sadness for all the time he had lost. His pure joy was like a dance of liberation, every movement a celebration of life beyond the chain. After what felt like an eternity, Billy ran back to Kate, his tail wagging furiously, as if trying to say 1,000 silent thank yous for her kindness. Kate, understanding the depth of his unspoken gratitude, gently stroked his head, her heart glowing with warmth. She then led him to the local veterinary hospital. In the sterile white room of the clinic, Kate stood close, watching carefully as Billy received his vaccinations, each needle a promise of a healthier future. The vet then gave Billy a thorough bath, carefully removing every tick that clung to his fur, as if scrubbing away the pain of his neglected past. Next came his claws, once long and jagged, now trimmed and clean, no longer clicking sharply against the floor. His tangled, matted coat was gently cut away, revealing the beautiful, healthy husky beneath the mess. As Kate looked at the transformed Billy, a wave of pride and quiet triumph washed over her. The creature once feared and whispered about as a mysterious, howling phantom now looked just like any other beloved pet. The howls that had once stirred fear were now understood for what they truly were, desperate cries for help. And only Kate had been brave enough to listen. There was deep joy in giving Billy a fresh start, a life where he wasn't just surviving, but thriving, loved, and valued. So Kate took him home, introducing him to a world full of warmth, safety, and affection, a complete contrast to the cold loneliness he had known for so long. For the first time in years, Billy had a real home, a cozy bed, and most importantly, an owner who truly adored him. The haunting howls that once pierced the stillness of night disappeared, leaving the town in peaceful silence. Soon, word of Kate's bravery and compassion spread through the town. She became a local hero, admired for her fearless heart. And Billy, once a creature of rumors and shadows, became a beloved figure, his story touching the hearts of everyone who heard it. What a lovely ending! Would you have the courage to investigate a scary sound in your neighborhood? And what do you think about the construction workers who left Billy in chains? Tell us in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.